All right, so apparently the NBA's broken. Everyone's dropping 50, Luka's dropping 60, and D-Mitch almost had 80. Let's talk about it.
On your screen is a graph conveying how many 40-point games occurred in the NBA on a year-to-year basis since 1955, which is when the shot clock was implemented. This massive spike here is the iconic 1962 season where Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 points a game and single-handedly recorded 63 40-point games by himself. But then you can see this spike right here is the 2006 season where Kobe famously averaged 35 points a game and torched the league night in and night out with 40-point performances. And then after that, as you can clearly see, over the past 7 years of basketball, there has been a noticeable increase in the frequency of 40-point games that has occurred on a year-to-year basis.
My question is, what the fuck happened here? Why the fuck was it so low in like 1998? I mean, I kind of know why, but that's just so crazy that the amount of 40-point games in a season was like on a rate similar to the 50s. That's kind of crazy.
Some goats overrated. Let's just leave it at that. My question is, y'all think Wilt was real? I'm starting to have this idea that bro ain't real, bro. Like, did anyone see him drop 100?
Actually, a better way for me to really convey to you how common it is for us to see 40-point games in the NBA over the past few years is for me to show you the top 10 years in which the most 40-point games have occurred. And as you can see, 6 out of the top 10 years have happened within the past 6 seasons. And literally right outside of the top 10
that Jimmy High
is
Roller
this
ass
year
span,
with
span
91 40-point games. Yes, that is correct. We are not even halfway through the regular season, and there's already been 91 40-point outings that the NBA has produced so far. But why is this happening? Since the beginning of the league, there has been one thing that has been constant, and that is change. And the significance and frequency of that change can be influenced by a myriad of different reasons. Cultural impact, international play, an overwhelming amount of success, just to name a few, especially that success part. No one was looking for the next MJ until Michael Jordan dominated the entire 90s. And of course, there were some hit or misses along the way, but you kind of get my point. But what is so interesting to me is the amount of change, especially when it comes to scoring within a finite amount of time. Going back to the 40-point game graph, you can clearly see even within a 10-year period, there has been a noticeable increase. And just for the people out there who think that I may be overreacting to outlier performances, what about season averages? Back in the day when I was growing up and a young NBA fan, being a 20-point scorer was a coveted title. The reason for this is because there was only 20 to 30 players on a year-to-year basis who were skilled enough to average 20 points by the end of the season. Now, this continued to be the norm all throughout the 2000s. However, in the early 2010s, there was a noticeable decrease in how many players could average 20 points on a year-to-year basis, and that's another video for another day. But since 2015, the number of players continued to increase over and over again.
Yo, let's talk about it, bro. The shit that we have like normalized now as fans is kind of like, it's kind of crazy. Cause when I started watching ball in like 2008, 2009-ish, like a dunk used to be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like a three-pointer used to be crazy. Like a person averaging 20 points per game was like the barrier or like the bar of what a good scorer in the league is. But now like 20 points per game, like Lo said, because of the stats, they don't really like feel like anything. You know what I'm saying? Like 3-point shooting is so regular. Oh, that's just another 3. Moving on to the next possession. That's just another dunk from Zach LaVine. Even though like 10 years ago, that would have been a top 5 play on SportsCenter. And no one even watches SportsCenter anymore, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, nah, bro. Terry Rozier averages 20 points. Back in the day, that would have set the whole world on fire. We would have thought Terry Rozier was like a little bit worse than Allen Iverson, right? But like now he averages 20 and we're like, he's like a B. So, and then I'm not throwing it straight at Terry Rozier when I say that. I'm saying that in the sense of, yo, this is real crazy. As Souls just said, when we got Paul George doing 360 between the leg dunks, I mean, it did set the world on fire. But back then we would have called it the GOAT. So it's just crazy. It's crazy how like now these super athletic, like Ja Morant, for example, it's just normal. It's just like, all right, Ja's gonna do that tonight. But come on, bro. Like I hate to say it, greatness is normalized, but at the same time, I guess the bar at some point do gotta get raised because the offense of this game nowadays is just easy for these dudes, man.
Even like a triple double, bro. I used to remember just fuck a triple double, a double double. Oh, this motherfucker got 20 and 10 tonight. Now it's just like, oh, you didn't get a triple double. Mid. You got 17, 6 and 8. Mid game. Like what the fuck are we doing? But at the same time, like as I've seen the NBA progress live in action, like right in front of my face, I also get why these things are being said. So
20 to 30 players averaging 20 points, it's increased to 30 to 40 different players. Until this year, where things really got out of hand. In the year 2023, there are 54 players who are averaging 20 points or better in the NBA. This is insane. 40-point games have become mundane, video game stat lines have become normal, and every single night the level of scoring and overall production from individual players as well as from a team perspective feels like the NBA is broken.
Just had to
So
show that
what's going on?
Damn.
Yo.
Well, for starters, we have to talk about pace, one of the most overlooked variables when comparing different eras throughout NBA history, yet it is still the most impactful and consistent factor when it comes to measuring scoring from an individual or a team perspective. And honestly, I don't know why people don't bring this up more often when talking about all-time great players. Every bit of information that we have at our hands throughout the 75 years that this league has existed has shown us that the trend of scoring, regardless if it goes up or down, is directly correlated in some way to the pace of the league at that time. And honestly, it makes sense. The higher the pace means that there's more possessions, and with more possessions means that there's more opportunity to score. And looking at the pace back in 1999 to 2009,
I
up
don't
until
understand.
2019, there is a noticeable difference.
Just show the highlight.
And since 2019, the pace has been relatively the same over the past 5 years. However, this can't be the only contributing factor. Matter of fact, it can't even be the biggest contributing factor to explain this scoring explosion that we're witnessing this year, because there have been time periods throughout league history where the pace has been just as fast, if not faster, than what we're witnessing right now. Going back to the 1988 season, where the pace is just as fast as it is in today's game, the amount of field goal attempts are relatively the same, and actually back then, the league average on free throw attempts was 29 times a game, in contrast to where we are today, where it's sub 24 attempts per game, and yet still at that time, the league average in terms of points per game from a team perspective was 108. In contrast to where we are right now, where it's nearly 114. So there has to be something else going on, right?
I have a challenge for the comment section. Most of y'all will probably not even do this, but try to watch a full game from like the 1960s. You will be surprised with like the shit that they do. Just even watch a quarter, bro. Cause like they would just in an era where there isn't, actually there might have been a shot clock. I don't know, but they would just like run back and forth and just shoot in the first 5 seconds. Like shoot the dumbest shots ever. It's kind of funny because you would think back in the 60s it would be dribble down the court, pass, not open, pass, and just, you know what I'm saying, like some Spurs, yeah, like some Spurs basketball shit. But if you actually watch it, like 60s basketball is hella fucking hectic, bro. Same thing with like the 80s. They just be running up and down the court, bro. It's mad funny.
Yeah, they hoop like me for real. I'm not even trolling. They hoop like me for real. I'm running down the court, throwing the shot up. Get back. They break. Go. Like, nah, it's memes. It's memes out there. I'm just shocked though, bro. I'm gonna bring it back up. I don't know if it picked me up. Yo, they have more free throws in the 80s. I thought you had calls for bad breath in that modern era and stuff, but they was throwing clotheslines and there was no calls on that. That's crazy. I'm a petty motherfucker.
They would call a foul on you for playing zone. That's what used to happen. That's why. That's why there was hella fucking foul calls.
Well, you would be correct, because another major variable to the scoring outbursts are analytics. I know, depending on who you are, that is a big no-no word when having real hoop basketball conversations, but I do believe it's very important for me to bring this up, because regardless of how you feel about analytics, the proof is in the pudding. If we can go back through our NBA history and find years where the pace and shot attempts are relatively similar to where we are today, but the amount of points that are being scored is drastically different, then that would literally prove that analytics is producing a more efficient way of basketball. The long two-pointers have been replaced with more efficient and productive threes, and the level of volume that we're seeing this year is historic. Nearly 39% of the shots that have been attempted so far this year are three-pointers. A noticeable noticeable increase from where we just were 10 years ago, and that difference becomes even more comical the further back you go in NBA history. Back in the 88 season, roughly 5 to 6% of the shot attempts were three-pointers, then replacing the pull-up mid-range jumpers or even post-up plays with an influx of relentless attacks to the basket has not only removed a lot of the shots within the mid-range area, but also it has increased the two-point percentage in the league to a historic high of 54%. And beyond just threes and twos, the free throw percentage is the highest it's been throughout NBA history, which translates to the highest true shooting percentage the league has ever seen as well. And also, over the past 4 to 5 years, the turnover rate has been the lowest it's ever been. So yeah, even if you are one of the more purebreded real hoopers out there, or just an old head that gets caught up in nostalgia, the results are pretty undeniable. Another major factor to the scoring boom are rule changes. I know for some of my younger fans out there, you may be in denial about this or just unaware because you weren't watching basketball 20 to 30 years ago. However, it is undeniably true that the league has either changed or adjusted rules to best benefit offense. And in particular, majority of these rule adjustments have been more perimeter leaning. And this is very important to highlight because when having this discussion, of course, many people are going to compare different eras throughout NBA history. And with rule changes having a heavy influence on how the game is played, it does not immediately mean that just because player A plays in an era where there's more scoring means that he could go in another era and dominate just as well.
I'm not gonna lie, the thought that I've had while watching this video is just like, number one, just comparing eras just seem hella dumb, but number two, motherfuckers aren't gonna stop comparing. But just like looking at the differences between the era, there's just so many like differences that comparing a forward from the 80s to a guard now is like, let's start there. Comparing two players in different positions with different skill sets and different roles at different points in their career already sounds hella dumb. But then when you compare this player from 2023 to this player from 1985, like, we just look hella dumb. But I understand it. I understand it because the debates are fun. The debates are fun. Luka is the GOAT. He is. Like, I don't, and I'll argue with you till the end of time. So
I won't. It's not an argument. Luka is the GOAT. But outside of Luka, it is stupid. I still don't like all-time debates, really. Like, even on my channel, I've dibbled and dabbled back in the basketball content. And I can't bring myself to do the all-time list or ranking all-time. Because at some point, I just get like, all right, so here I am about to ignore these numbers for this player, but not really for this player. And then I'm going to have to explain every time, well, it's because, you see, back in this day, this is how they played, and this is impressive for this era. But then for 2023, this not as impressive. And then there's going to be the dude that's like, what do you mean? It's the same number. I just don't have time for it, bro. It's just whack. But I guess people want to know, so it'll sell. It'll definitely get its attention.
That just don't exist anymore, that have lifted restrictions and limitations of certain players in the league, especially the ones that play on the perimeter. However, even with all of those reasonable and legitimate variables and factors that I just highlighted, I do believe there is one clear explanation behind this new wave of scoring explosion that has taken over the NBA, especially over the past 2 to 3 years. And that is innovation. A wise man once said, innovation is the unrelentless drive to break the status quo and develop anew where few have dared to go. And when it comes to the NBA, progressive mind states have really taken over the league, the imagery, and how the game of basketball has been played. And in terms of the status quo that has been teared down, well, throughout NBA history, especially throughout the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, there was this belief that individual players had...
Can we talk about how weak that dunk is? Can we talk about it, or is that taboo?
This is done pretty fucking mid, if you ask me. I ain't gonna lie. Not even for Harris. It was just, what do you do? Just like, it's 6.
I can see the comment section right now. You do it, B-Souls. Fuck you, bro.
I
Fuck
can't.
you.
I cannot. All right, you know what? But it's still
You got me there. You got me there, bro. You got me there. You got me there.
In 2000s, there was this belief that individual players had roles and responsibilities based on the position in which they played in. And because of this, identities such as traditional point guards or a true big man started to develop themselves in the NBA culture. But now, as time continues to progress, what we're witnessing are some of those roles and responsibilities bleed over from one position to the next, which has led to more well-rounded offensive players in the NBA. And all of that has resulted into a slew of volume scorers who have the capability of also managing an offense with their playmaking and ball handling abilities. Now, to be fair, this playing style has always existed in the NBA, but what ended up occurring when these players started to exercise their full capability offensively is that they were normally chastised and identified as selfish players or ball hogs, and the whole idea of having a volume scorer being able to handle and manage the offense was viewed through a lens in which was not winning style of basketball. But now in today's game, the mentality has shifted and changed, and I think a lot of that has to do with the innovation that LeBron brought to the table. Early in Bron's career, not only did he display a feel for the game that made him an exquisite passer, but also complemented that skill set with a level of volume scoring that made him practically impossible to defend. And unlike many of his predecessors, the level of success that he has seen throughout his career, in particular between 2007 and 2016, was so astonishing that it had to be duplicated in the upcoming era. And so now this philosophy is so openly accepted that we even give it a name. We talked about this in my last video, the heliocentric star, where you have one individual who has a significant amount of influence on his team's offense. Now, what does all of this have to do with what we're talking about? Well, in today's game, because this ideology is much more openly accepted, what's starting to happen is that you have these players who've practically always existed in NBA history, the ones who can go for a 20, 30, or even 40 on any given night, now have the ability to initiate the offense. So instead of the game slowing down, teams running sets that put their best offensive player in positions to score the basketball, that player is bringing the ball up and is immediately a threat to score as soon as he crosses the half-court line. And the numbers back this up as well. The amount of players who have a usage rating of 30 or higher is at an all-time high. Also, with volume scoring players having the ball in their hands more predominantly, players having the ability to average 20 or 25 points while still contributing 5 or more assists is at an all-time high as well. Out of those 54 players who are averaging 20 or better, 26 of them are averaging 5 assists or more. How astonishing is that? Well, between 1985 to 1995, there were only 24 players who had the ability to average 20 points and 5 assists within at least one season. So yeah, within an entire decade between the 80s and 90s, there are fewer players who have the capability of being a 20 and 5 player than there are in today's league. Now, of course, people are going to bring up other aspects, and I do believe there's some validity to some of the concerns that you may bring up in the comment section below, such as the league being more perimeter oriented. That is true, and it certainly contributes to what I'm talking about. However, when you look at big men as well, their ability to handle and initiate offenses has increased also. Giannis, Jokic, Zion, Domantas Sabonis, just to name a few. But then you even have players such as Joel Embiid, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Pascal Siakam this year, all having career highs in assist totals. I know many people are going to highlight the analytics aspect of it, and that is true. Getting threes over two certainly helps. However, there are certain players in today's game who don't shoot that many threes, such as Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant, who still are having some of the greatest scoring seasons of their entire career.
I think another reason too, and I do agree LeBron had a factor in this, is taller players just realize, I think KD had a factor in this too. Taller players just realize, yo, I don't have to be a low post big. Like, give me the ball in the perimeter. I got a height advantage over a lot of these motherfuckers. And if I can work on my game enough so that I can also have a speed advantage, nah, it's over for a lot of y'all. And that's how we get players like a Luka, like a Kevin Durant, like a Tyrese Halliburton, like a LaMelo Ball. And that was just more common. I have this theory when it comes to the evolution of just NBA basketball that I think we're getting closer there too. In 10 years, 15 years, maybe even sooner, everyone is just going to be like 6'4" and up, 6'5" and up. Everyone is going to have guard-like skills. Everyone can defend multiple positions. And that's going to be the name of the game, to be honest with you. There's not going to be much room for the small guard who's highly skilled because taller players are getting skilled. There's not going to be much room for the traditional low post big man who's a good rim protector because you can probably find someone who can rim run better and also protect the rim and also stretch the floor. I just think that's going to be the name of the game. We'll see, but I really do think we are getting very, very close to that point if you see the lineups of the top teams in the league. If you look at the Denver Nuggets, that's pretty much what they are. Pretty much.
I think they're the biggest coming back. I think them 7-footers, as you said, not only learned all that, but they realized, yo, I can pass the ball. Like, Ish Smith can pass. I can pass the ball. If you're telling me as long as I pass the ball like Ish Smith, I'm a point guard, say less. I'm going to go out here get more assists than him. I'm going to see over the defense so I know who's open all the time. And we going to play at my pace. We ain't going to run up and down the court for real. I'm going to hit the low block, and look over my shoulder, or there's a double team, over my head, or whatever. I think to go off of your talk or whatever, I do see an error like that as well. But I personally think it's going to be even a little bit worse than that. I think it's going to be the exceptions. Either Curry Jr. about to pull up, or it's just going to be another 7-footer, and it's just going to be the 5 bigs dominating forever, plus Luka. Yeah, I think this era about to be crazy with either big men or the non-6'7" can defend. Or I think the exceptions to that standard, because I do agree that's going to be the standard. I think the exceptions to that standard are about to dominate real soon. I think the next era of basketball is all anomalies, all of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think there's gonna be another Steph Curry. But if you're a 6'3" guard that really wants to be a superstar in the league, you gotta be like Steph Curry level to really stand out. I think that's what Sage is saying, and I definitely agree. Like, you have to be at like Trae Young and up, I think, is the bar. If you're anything lower, you're going to be a bench player. No one is going to build a team around you. But if you're Trae Young and up, and you can show that you can average 30 and 10 on a nightly basis, then you got a shot. But that's what I'm talking about when it comes to smaller guards having a tougher time getting into the league. Like, it was already tough, growing up for like the 5'9", 5'8" guard to make it to the league. But I think we're also going to get to a point where the 6'1", 6'2" guards, yeah, I'm sorry, that ain't tall enough. I'm sorry. Which is crazy to say.
Look at bro like, you're a little short. Sorry.
You can ride the bench, though. You can be Peyton Pritchard.
Oh, yeah. They in the league. They just not that guy. They just not that guy anymore.
And as I say that, I also do not believe that it's a coincidence that we're starting to see an increased role in ball handling responsibilities with KD and Kawhi. FYI, their assist numbers are also going up as well. And even to a more extreme example, we have someone like DeMar DeRozan, who doesn't shoot threes, and when he does, he doesn't make them at any respectable clip, and yet still he has the ability to have some of the greatest scoring seasons of his career over the past 3 to 4 years. And once again, it's not coincidental that his responsibility as a ball handler and playmaker has increased alongside with his assist totals. And oh yeah, be very mindful that those 3 examples that I just gave you, they've been in the NBA for several years now. So we can look at what they once were back in their earlier years, compare them to where they are right now, and it is undeniable what the influence of someone like LeBron has had on this league. The level, the standard, and expectations that come along with being a volume scorer is at an all-time high, which has produced much more well-rounded offensive pieces. And instead of having someone set them up, volume scorers now have a direct impact on the game, which gives them more opportunities to score. And I do believe that is a major contributing factor to yielding these type of results. But hey, that's just a theory of mine. I do believe all those other factors play a massive role as well. But I don't want people to overlook the innovation that I believe has brought us to this point as well in NBA history.
Hey man, shout out to Love for the video. I definitely agree, LeBron. We're really seeing his influence, and for anyone that says LeBron has no influence on the league, and the influence that he has is motherfuckers don't want to be loyal anymore, suck a dick, pussy. He's had a positive influence on the league, and even that point is like, that's a positive thing. Control your own fucking career. But But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Here's another video from Legend of Winning that we reacted to. And we'll catch you on the next one, man. Peace out.
Peace.